Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to my beauty industry enthusiasts, content creators, and brand visionaries. Get ready to step into a world where beauty meets business, where the creator economy blends seamlessly with strategy. I'm Sonia Elise, and this is Lipservice, the podcast. We're about to redefine the way that you think about the beauty industry. From the boardroom to the makeup room, we're leaving no stone unturned. Lipservice is your backstage pass to the beauty industry's best kept secrets. Now take out your notebook, fill up your emotional support water bottle, and swipe on your favorite lip gloss. Let's get into the episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lipservice, the podcast. I am here today with Kelly Rose Sarno. We are so excited to have you on the podcast, Kelly. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
I know. Well, we want to dive in before everything else, like your whole history. You've been on the internet for 10 years plus at this point, I'm sure. You have so much wisdom to share with the community. I'm really excited. But before, we have to know what's on your face this morning.
Oh my God, thank you. I was just halfway done doing my makeup. I am wearing the Win Beauty Skin Tint with just a
Ooh.
touch of the Makeup Forever, the Hydra Glow, not the
Mm-hmm.
original, the new Hydra Glow. This is like my favorite go-to combination.
Uh-huh.
And then my ordinary serums that I'm obsessed with, which is the Aloe and Matrixyl serum. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's what gives me that like all day glow. But those are like my four must-haves for my base face recently.
Amazing. And then we need to know, because of course you are the queen of mascara. What mascara are you wearing? Not today, but I don't think you have any on yet, but
I
what
don't because
mascara is like in your
I'm literally recording my top one today.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I'll give you guys a little heads up on it. But the Sky High tinted primer, right? And this just happened to be sitting in front
Really?
of me. This is the most unbelievable product for lashes. It's a tinted
Uh-huh.
primer. And so I use this with the Cosmic Black Maybelline Sky High. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm also very committed to using Grande Lash Serum. So I feel like the
Same.
combination of the three makes my lashes look the best.
Same. Thank you for also admitting that you use lash serum, because
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
a lot of people who tout like certain mascaras forget to tell people, like, I also double down on lash serum. I'm like, that's same. I'm about to travel and I had to buy like 2 Grande minis because I was like, what
Yes.
if I run out of my mini?
You can always tell when I'm not using it too.
Yeah.
Like I go a long time without using them too, and you can just tell when I am
Yeah.
using it because all of a sudden my lashes will be like touching my eyebrows, and I am
Mm-hmm.
always like, "Oh man, I forget how good it is when you
It's,
stop using it."
I
It really
know.
is. I
It's
know, and I
definitely
know
one of
like a
my
lot of
addictions.
people, and there's a lot of controversy around Grande Lash
I
Serum,
know.
and I
Mm-hmm.
just think that people are misinformed about how lash serums actually work. Like they
Mm-hmm.
think that it's growing your lashes when in turn it's actually just stopping your lashes from falling out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm one that can attest. I've never had my eye color change. My lids look totally fine and my lashes are super long, so I continue to use
There you go. There you go. Amazing. Yes, I also am their biggest fan. So glad we
it.
see eye to eye there.
Yes.
The next question I always ask is, if you were headed to your version of the afterlife tomorrow, whatever it looks like, what one product do you take with you?
What a question.
I
I would say okay, it would probably be my Live Tinted Guard SPF moisturizer because
know.
it like
Hmm.
just makes your skin look super glowy. My skin will be protected wherever I go, so I'll stay youthful looking. And it has no white cast to it, so it almost like just evens out your skin tone because it's kind of like an orangey base, but it's
Hmm.
not like an orangey tint. It's just an overall like really awesome product.
Great choice. That's one brand I have yet to try, Live Tinted, that everyone raves about. I know. I know. I
Everything.
gotta slowly get through my list, but I'm like a normal person. I'm not
I'll have to
because
send you some. I'll have Deepika send you some. She's the sweetest.
I love it. I've heard also rave things about her as well. And I think she knows a few people that I've worked with in the past, and everyone has always raved about her. So we love
I
to
was
see it.
just with Liv Tinted when I was in LA, and
Hmm.
we got to meet her whole staff and have this like unbelievably like magic night with them. And I got to
Oh.
see her, like her headquarters or whatever. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
really cool moment. I was in her office, and there was an award on her wall that said that Live Tinted had reached 100,000 orders on Shopify. And I don't
Oh.
know why, like I just connected to her at this moment because my company that I own, Duck and
Mm-hmm.
Spinaco, like we have that same award. And when I was
Oh.
looking at it, someone on our staff was like, that could be you someday. And I was like, it already is. It was just like this really cool moment, and I shared
Yeah.
that with her, and we kind of became friends over that like funny moment. But she's really genuinely just an unbelievable person.
I love to hear that. And I love to see that people who are great people also have a great brand. There's so many great
Yes,
people out there, but that doesn't always translate to a brand. So,
100%.
so happy to hear that. All right. And then the last thing before we dive into the meat of this episode would be as a creative person, I'm sure you know, like suffering burnout, it happens very frequently and you're constantly trying to look for like what's the next way to get reinvigorated. How are you finding ways to stay creative right now? Like what's inspiring you?
That's such a great question because I reach burnout so quickly because I am a
Hmm.
quantity content creator. Like I do
Hmm.
create a lot of content.
Yeah.
And for me, it's honestly asking for help.
Mm,
I don't do this by myself. And that's something that I think I'm very good at being transparent about. I have a team that helps me a lot.
hmm.
And so for me, it's really going back to what I know what works, because I
Hmm.
feel like when I get back to what works for me, like say mascara reviews or
Sure.
simple, quick 60-second videos, it
Hmm.
allows me that space to breathe because I know I'm good at that and
Hmm.
I know it works, and it just takes the pressure off a lot. And
Yeah.
then honestly, like just taking time off of creating too, it just allows you space to breathe and spend time with my family and be unplugged. That's probably the best way that I reinvigorate myself, because I'll be thinking, because a
Hmm.
creative brain never
Of
stops,
course.
and then I'm like, oh, I can do this, this, and this when I get back, and I'm excited to get back to do it. So for me, it's getting back to what works, and definitely like taking the time, because it's not going to disappear. It'll be there when you get back.
Exactly. Exactly. Amazing. Great advice. Well, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and dive into the episode.
All right.
Okay. So, Kelly, do you prefer Kelly or Kelly Rose?
So my legal first name is Kelly Rose. My
Okay.
mom calls me that, but
Hmm.
I go by Kelly. Like my
Okay.
middle name is Anne. So
Uh-huh.
everyone thinks Kelly Rose is like my middle name, but no, Kelly is what I go
Okay.
by.
Okay. All right. Perfect. We've set the record straight,
Thank
people.
you for
So when
asking, because
no
not
problem.
everybody asks.
Well, when you run into Kelly on the street now, you know that you can go ahead and with the informal Kelly and not her mother's Kelly Rose, which I'm
Yes,
sure triggers
that's when I'm in
something.
trouble.
I know exactly. Amazing. Well, I think that you've had such an incredible career thus far. I mean, 10 years creating content is no joke. You're inching towards that 1 mil mark on TikTok. Huge congratulations. Can you give us just like a little background? How did you get into this? How did you end up here?
Sure. I'm actually getting closer to 15 years. I just
Wow.
turned 40. I just turned 42. So,
Hmm.
for me, when I was younger, in my very early 20s, I traveled a lot. And this is before Instagram, before TikTok,
Hmm.
when Facebook was the it girl of the moment.
Sure.
And I traveled so much and wasn't really great at keeping in contact with people. And so I started to inadvertently blog without knowing that I was blogging. I
Hmm.
would post like a recap of, "Hey, I was in Yellowstone National Park today and here's what I did." And
Hmm.
it honestly brought in like people that I didn't know, which was kind of strange. So that was how I started to share my life on social media. But for me, when I started to create makeup content specifically, I was actually in a direct sales company for 6 years called
Hmm.
Unique. And, we were the pioneers of social selling. So,
Hmm.
Derek Maxfield, who is the CEO of that company, was the first one to create the party platform on Facebook that
Uh-huh.
became super annoying to everybody. But we were the
Sure.
first ones to do it. And it was this really wild ride. I was, one of the top people in the company and had a blast doing it. I can remember the day that I got Facebook Live. I
Hmm.
was in my spare bedroom. My son was an infant just learning to crawl, and I was folding laundry, and I got the notification, and I went live literally just to fold laundry. And I was immediately hooked
Oh
at the
my.
way you could connect to people and virtually be with people. And for 6 years straight, every single day, I live streamed. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was really such, like, no matter what was going on in my life, I just always live streamed. Instead of recording content, I live streamed. And
Mm-hmm.
so it really took off one day when I did a 3-minute video about a hair product,
Mm-hmm.
and it went viral, sold it out across the whole entire country. And
Whoa.
that was like really when my career started to catapult in the
Mm-hmm.
space of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put the pedal to the metal and kept on going and learned
Wow.
to adapt with all the changes that came with social media after that.
Do you remember what product that was?
Oh, I sure do. It's actually funny because the company recently reached out to me and they
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Hey, can we gift you some product for a video?" And I was like, "Oh, you definitely don't know who I am." And that is the only time those words have ever come out of my mouth because I'm not
Yeah.
like that at all.
Uh-huh.
So it was a product called Puff Me.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a company called Design Me,
Mm-hmm.
and Saphir, the owner of the company, was incredible. But I did a 3-minute video. I was like, "Hey, I'm leaving. My hairdresser gave me this product. Let's try it out." And it was
Mm-hmm.
like this volume puff powder
Oh,
stuff.
yep. Mm-hmm.
And I went to New Hampshire with my family. We had no service. And 2 days
Mm-hmm.
later, I came back and was like, what just happened? So
Wow.
so the owner of Moroccan Oil and the
Mm-hmm.
owner of a business called a hair company called Pie Shaw are brothers. They created Design Me together. They hadn't
Mm-hmm.
created a website.
Mm-hmm.
They only had one product and they didn't have a manufacturing plant. And my video went
Whoa.
viral and it sold everywhere. Like this $20 product was selling
Crazy.
on eBay for like $200. It was crazy.
That's
Um,
nuts. And this was on
yeah, we
Facebook.
had right on Facebook. My best friend is my
Wow.
hairstylist, and the company, we found the owners and they sent us like 1,600 bottles, like on good faith that we would
I
pay
love
for them
it.
after we sold them. But we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't, we sold them, we were in my best friend's parents' garage, like packaging them, like we were selling them for the company. It
Oh
was
my
so
gosh.
fun. And I
That's
learned a
wild.
lot about being a content creator then. And I just kind of kept going as hard and fast as I could. And I still reap the benefits from that first viral video that only had 3 million views on it. So it was viral, but
Yeah. No, back
not like
then though,
insane.
3 million is crazy.
It was, yeah.
Jeez. Wow, that's so interesting. And the fact that I mean like this really takes you back to how far technology has come. The fact that you had to like essentially wholesale purchase them
Yeah.
from the person and fulfill their orders.
Unbelievable. And they
Yeah.
didn't even have any. They're like, we'll have another batch in like a month. We're like, a month?
You're like, no, now.
Now, yeah, it was so fun. But
Oh
because
my
I was in
goodness.
direct sales, I gained like 100,000 followers on Facebook overnight, and
Yeah.
in the world of Facebook, that's like a million on TikTok, right? And
Sure.
so, because I gained these followers so quickly, and I was in direct sales, all these people started to join my team without even
Mm,
like asking me any questions or anything. So next thing you knew, I blew up in that company too, and
yeah.
so the rest is kind of history. So I'd say, I think live stream came out about 10 years ago, and I've been sharing my content like that ever since.
Wow. Wow, that's so cool that you were just like not afraid. And what is like your history like growing up? Like, were you into like theater, performing? You're just always part of your personality that you were not scared. Was there any sort of other
Um,
training you feel like you
what
had?
What a great question. I've never been asked that question before. I love that. Um, I was not a theater girl. However, when I was younger, I was into it.
Yeah,
I did like acting classes up until I was like 7 or whatever.
sure.
I was a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
Some people aren't surprised by that. Some people are wildly surprised by that.
Yeah.
I'm a younger sister. I have an older brother. I actually grew up pretty tough. My mom has been married and divorced 4 times. My father went to prison because he was a child molester when I was
Mm-hmm.
2. Um, I had a really rough upbringing,
Yeah.
but my house was always filled with love. So I don't know. I've just always been a survivor, and I've always been like a hustler. Like I didn't get to go to
Yeah.
college, so I've worked since I was 14 and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just kind of always knew that I was different. I always knew I had a confidence that other people didn't, but I
Yeah.
also knew I had a drive that people also don't typically have.
Sure.
It's a positive and it can also be a negative. Like it
Oh,
can really beat you
I
up,
feel
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
So,
100%. I feel
yeah,
that. And I think a lot of people who have been doing this as long as you have, I mean, even as long as I've worked in influencer marketing for 10 years, but I've worked in marketing for 15. So it's a journey, right? And
yeah,
you see people who are getting into it now and they want instant results. They don't understand why, right? It definitely is a personality type that can continue to do something and show up and really deeply believe that what you're doing is going to make a difference or make a difference in your life or other people's lives, right? Not everybody has that innate sense of drive, like you said, and it is a problem.
100%.
It's definitely a
I
problem.
agree. Like I have always said, like anybody can do what I do,
Yeah,
but not anybody can be as successful as I am. Because
100%.
there is an X factor to it. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
anybody can sit in front of a phone and create a video. Like everyone has the
Mm-hmm.
ability to
Sure.
do what I do, but there's
Mm-hmm.
something different, with these big mega creators who I don't put myself in that category. I know I have like a lot of followers, but I don't put myself in this category of like a mega creator or anything. But, there's something about them where they have this unapologetic air about them where they're not afraid to, put their whole entire life on social media
Yeah.
and then, and then be okay with the repercussions that can come from it. I
Yeah.
feel really blessed that I don't deal with, haters and negativity on my page. I just built a community of, trust and authenticity. So I don't typically deal with that, but I'm also an elder millennial, so I'm
Yeah.
not a younger girl
Yeah.
where I have to deal with younger girl mentality.
Sure, that's true. And I did an episode with Michelle Spieler. I think you're friendly with
Hmm.
her. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
wonderful. And she talked about what a benefit it is to be older in the creator industry because you really can, like, you know who you are at this point, ideally, and you really aren't playing in that space where you're like, well, I don't know, but what if, I mean, you have a lot more, vision, a very direct point of vision, whereas if you come into it very young at those ages, like, you don't know yourself as well, so it's hard to build what is your online brand when you don't know yourself very well.
I
um
agree with that. And it's a
mhm,
scary I have six nieces. They
mhm,
range from the age of 20 to 11.
mhm,
And so I'm in that awkward generation that, I didn't grow up with social media, but social media came in my late teens, early 20s. So I was able to
yeah,
adapt and be a part of, what the younger girls go through. And
mhm,
I watch the struggles that my nieces go through, and I have a very close relationship with all six of them, and I hear their conversation and I see their
mhm,
activity, and it breaks my heart for the younger generation that they didn't get to experience a life without it.
mhm.
So that you can really understand that there's so much more to the world than acceptance of others.
Yeah, wow, that's so true. It's such an interesting, I think, dynamic that we're in right now, especially in content creation, right? Because both people who are in their 40s and 50s are doing very well, but also people who are very young are doing very well. And so there's like a
Mhm.
very weird dichotomy of servicing both. And of course, everything that we've been seeing at Sephora with preteens going in and the way that they act or the way their parents are acting, it's just very different from the way that I grew up. I mean, I'm only a few years younger than you, not by much at all. So I feel much more similar to you, elder millennial. Like, this, I had to learn every single new thing. So whenever I hear people complaining about the algorithm or views, I'm like, this is a gift that creators were given, right? Like, nobody
Mhm.
charged you to sign up to TikTok and then said become successful. They gave it to you for free.
Right.
And then you were able to become successful. And sure, there's a lot of negatives and changes, and it can be very difficult. But at the end of the day, you get this gift to connect with all of these people and ideally monetize. And that was not something that previous generations had.
No, and and it's not. I have to say this. It is not the kids' fault.
No,
It is our
definitely
fault.
not.
Like as a mom, I
Mhm.
1000% know that it's our fault because we
Mhm.
are overcompensating for our shitty childhoods, right? So we don't know how to say
100%.
no to our kids. Like,
100%.
yeah,
I
you
know.
want the drunk elephant? Come on, honey. I'll go bring you a friend. Like, I'm
Mhm.
the worst culprit of that. I just took my
Guilty.
5 nieces back to school shopping at Ulta, at Target, and at Aerie. You know, they were
Mhm.
respectful, but like I just dropped 2 grand on these girls. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, and they're not even mine.
I know. I know. I know, right? Like I also recently had a boy and I know you have two boys and I
I do.
have two nieces that are a little bit older, 5 and 8. And I always think like, oh, like I'm very happy that I had a boy. Like I love my girls, but I'm so
Yeah.
happy that I have a boy because the navigation of raising young girls,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
literally manifested 2 boys. I say it all the time. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
please,
same.
please, Mother Nature, give me 2 boys because I'm not cut out. Like, I love being an auntie. I'm professional at it.
Yeah.
I've been an auntie for 24 years, but
Sure.
it's like I get to send them home, you know?
Exactly, exactly. Well, you've had such an incredible career. Can you give us some highlights? Like, what are some, if people didn't know you as well, like, what are some things that have been like along the way, collaboration opportunities, trips, brands that you've worked with? Give us a little like hit list of some of your favorites that you've experienced.
Sure. I mean, Puff Me was definitely will always be the highlight of
Yeah.
my career. It was such a cool opportunity. I got to go to Tennessee, to Nashville, to I forget the name of the convention. It was like
Hmm.
Cosmoprof. It was
Oh,
so
yeah.
fun. And I
So
got to
cool.
go with my best friend, and that
Hmm.
was really my first look into what it felt like to be like internet famous.
Hmm.
So that was definitely a huge career of mine. As much as people hate direct sales and multi-level marketing, which I totally get it now, being on the outside looking in,
Sure.
Unique was such an important part of my career.
Hmm.
I am so forever grateful for the 6 years that I spent with them and
Hmm.
all the success that I had with them. It allowed me to financially support my family and create my own business, with learning everything that I did from them. And then, for me, I had this little break there of creating my own business, Declan's Mining Company, and having a lot of
Hmm.
success with that before I really dove into being a makeup content creator. But since I've done that, I mean, it has been a while. It's only been like 3 years, maybe
Hmm.
4. Actually, my first 30 mascaras in 30 days was four
Yeah.
years ago, like this week. And
Wow.
since then, I've had a collaboration with Sigma Beauty. It was incredible. Simone, the owner, is just such a light. I love her.
Hmm.
I got to be really close with the Tarte team, and I
Hmm.
think that is like a bucket list for a lot of creators, is to have a moment
Absolutely.
with Tarte.
Hmm.
I consider Maureen a great friend of mine. I can text her whenever I want, and I got to go on the Tarte trips, and I've
Yeah.
been on 3 of them, I think. That's always been pretty incredible. But I would say the highlight of my career so far in the last 4 years is definitely being a part of the Ulta Beauty
Hmm.
Collective for now the second year in a row, and having
Huge.
an opportunity to be exposed to dozens and dozens of brands in such a positive atmosphere. It's been truly amazing to be a
Hmm.
part of that. So I think, it makes me wonder like what would be my next big thing, because the Ulta Beauty Collective's been so great. So I think the only thing that would really top it is like a mascara collab,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I'm manifesting it. I'm shocked that you don't have one already. I
I'm
mean,
waiting for it. I'm
how
like, if it
many
doesn't happen
total?
soon, I'm making
Yeah.
my own, okay?
Oh, absolutely. But I will tell you that knowing a little bit about the product side, mascara is the like the hardest one, apparently.
It is.
But how many mascaras have you tried, like in total? What's
Like,
the running count?
we just capped over 300.
Jeez,
I know.
that's
It's
crazy.
And I bought, like, I would say I have purchased
Mm-hmm.
75 to 80% of them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I mean, thank God
It's
for tax write-off, but still.
I know.
That's
I know.
a lot of money.
And I feel like I'm running out of mascaras, but then right when you run out, like
I know.
10 more come out. So,
Somebody else needs to launch one. Ugh, I
yeah.
love it. And okay, with all those mascaras, what's the number one remover? What's the secret for getting it off?
Oh, such a great question. It is Elemis cleansing balm 100%.
Ugh,
And if you
okay.
can't afford Elemis, because I get it, it's like a bougie product. That is like
Sure.
my splurge product. Naturium, their cleansing balm is such a great like alternative.
Agreed, agreed. I love Elemis, but I'm one of those people who's like putting the finger. I can't. It's like, oh no, I can't do it. I
I
know.
get
And then
it.
people are like, "There's a spatula," and I'm like, "Okay, clearly you don't live in Manhattan. Like, where am I putting the spatula?" Like,
Yes.
no, this is not happening. But my number one, I've tried a lot of oils, but my number one is the Naturium oil to whatever, the jelly to oil.
Yep.
Comes in the pink squeezy. It is so good, fragrance free, so inexpensive. What a
If you
gem.
love that one, you should try the Herborian cleansing oil.
Oh, okay.
It's
I need to.
Korean skincare. It's at Ulta. It's definitely on Ulta.com.
Mhm.
They have the green CC cream that I love so much.
Ooh.
But they're
Mhm.
cleanse. So I'll use a cleansing balm,
Mhm.
then the Naturium cleansing oil, and then a cleanser. So that's how I get it
A
all off.
triple cleanse. A triple cleanse. I love
I
it.
know.
Oh my gosh. The
Hey, it
behind the
works, you
scenes.
know?
I know your eyelashes are still intact. Thank God.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. The behind the scenes is wild, I'm sure.
it
And
is.
speaking of, like, how is your husband and your sons with like your fame? I mean, I'm sure it's like such like a different removed world from them. But what are their thoughts? Like, what are they?
It's funny because my business has more followers than I do on social media. And
Sure.
because it is named after my son will tell
Hmm.
people that he has more followers than I do.
I
And I'm
love
like,
it.
okay, Declan, well, I have the blue check and Declan's Vine and Co doesn't know. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I love it.
Um, it's been a journey. I will say that. My
Hmm.
husband is not a social media guy. So
Yeah,
I think people wonder if my husband even exists, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
sure.
um, we will be married 12 years in October.
Hmm.
I met my husband when I was 14. We were high school sweethearts. We
Hmm.
had a little break in between, but
Hmm.
he is great. So when I was with Unique and it started to take off after the whole Puff Me thing,
Hmm.
we were about to have my second son, like literally I was about to give birth, and I needed to make a choice. I was like, I can either stay home and take care of our sons, or
Hmm.
you can stay home and take care of our sons.
Hmm.
And it was this weird shift because my husband was always the breadwinner,
Yeah.
and the 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 luxury that my husband afforded me to
Hmm.
create this life that we have is the most humble and selfless thing a human being could ever do. My
Hmm.
husband left his very lucrative corporate career. He's very well educated. Um, on a wing and a prayer that I was going to make more.
Hmm.
And I was at
Wow.
the time, but to sustain it was scary. And,
Sure.
I don't have a college education, and my husband has that stable all American dream. And so when we had Everett, my husband left his corporate job, and that was 6.5 years ago. And he struggled with it for a little while for sure, because he was
Yeah.
such a great asset to the company that he was at. But he finally hit his groove, I'd say, about 2, 3 years ago with our boys. My husband was a Division I collegiate athlete for baseball, and so our family is very heavy in sports. I'm grateful to have two boys and a husband that is so committed to, developing my boys. And so he does everything. He runs our entire house. He, schedules all the things for the kids that, typically moms do.
Yeah.
And he also manages my company, and it's pretty
Wow.
incredible and selfless what he did. So he's all about it because obviously it affords us the life that we do have.
Sure.
However, he's very good at keeping me in check as well, and I need that because
Hmm.
I can be so into it that I let my priorities go.
Hmm.
And so he has helped me create an unbelievable balance, and I'm so grateful for that. And then my boys, Declan has grown up with it, so he loves
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
At first, Everett didn't really get it or love it, but
Hmm.
now that he turned 6 in April, now he is like a ham in front of the
Oh my
camera.
God.
Yeah,
So cute.
so they're really involved though, like because we
Hmm.
have a business that's social media based, they're very involved and they
Sure.
understand social media. They understand the risks, why they're not allowed to have it. What I do for a living, they really do understand it. And they're on payroll, because they're such a huge part of what I do.
Sure. Wow, that's such a great and inspiring story to have been able to do kind of like your traditional role reversal. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are, of course, finding more balance in home, but the big reversal, that's huge. And I love it. I'm glad that you guys were able to work that out. And I'm sure, the biggest thing there is like being able to set aside your own ego and your own sort of like, but this is what I'm supposed to do, and really be able to see the greater picture, which is like, look at this amazing platform that she's built and where she's moving forward. And I feel like I can trust that. And I mean, major applause to your husband that he's found
Yeah.
a brand new vision for himself too. I'm sure he finds so many cool things that he's able to flex
He
his skills
does.
on
It was,
now.
I think it was a struggle at the beginning because it was just makeup,
Yeah.
like when he
Hmm.
first left, it was just makeup. Like Declan's Mining Co. didn't exist. And it was so hard to find a place to insert him to help me
Yeah.
because I didn't need the help then.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so when we created our own brand, and the boys got older and they became busy, that's when he really found his groove. And
Yeah.
I know he still struggles with it a little bit because he works from home, and
Yeah.
he's not used to that. And I'm around people all the time, and
Sure.
the same people all the time, but I'm around people all the time. So we still, communication is key. And I feel so grateful that my husband and I have known each other for as long as we have, because we
Sure.
have an ease of conversation.
Hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of relationships that struggle with that, that power struggle,
Hmm.
lack communication. And it's really important to be able to communicate with your partner. And we do that really well. So I can keep him in check. He can keep me in check. And
Hmm.
I can say, hey, I'm running at 10%. I need you to run at 90,
Yeah.
and we can really balance each other out well.
It's so nice. And it's so nice to have like your family be part of like your core working team, because of course so much of what we do is for our family. So to have them
Hmm.
right there present, I'm sure is like very motivating for
Yeah.
you. Speaking of your team, I know you mentioned you have a bigger team. I always love to have a look into like how people get it all done. Walk us through your team, as well as like, how do you get it done? Like, what is your content vibe? Like, how do you schedule throughout the week?
Love that. Great question. And I just want to preface this with,
Yeah.
you don't need this in the beginning.
No,
Okay.
this is a later on,
This
right?
is a
This is
much
a later
later
on.
on. However, I
Mm-hmm.
do believe that creatives are also like control freaks, right? Like we need to have
Yeah.
control in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
probably because our brains are so chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so at the same time, don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's where I struggled for the longest time. And then as I
Mm-hmm.
slowly brought in help, I like my life changed and my income like 10x'd. So that's important. So let's see, 6.5 years ago, 6 years ago, I hired my personal assistant, Ashley, who is basically family at this point. And I needed a little bit of help on social media, on Facebook. And I found her on like a town Facebook page, and I paid her $10 an hour. It's all I could afford. And
Nice.
she now is the COO of my multi-million dollar company,
Love
so
it. Yeah.
she is literally like a dream. So I have Ashley, who basically does like so much for me that I can't really put words into it. And
Mm-hmm.
so when it became too much for the two of us, that's when I started to supplement. So I create content when I have time to create content. I do try to batch. So I will like create like 6 videos today so that lasts me just a couple of days. I'm
Sure.
never so far ahead that it feels good.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
Of
very
course.
reactive to creating
Mm-hmm.
content.
Yeah.
Um, and if I have a deadline, I'm doing it the day before. That's just how that goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have so here's who I have for a team. So I also run 2 companies, so you have to keep that in mind. So I have Declan's and I have
Yeah.
Kaylee Rose Sarno. So we call it
Mm-hmm.
DMC and KRS.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all in all, I have a staff of 13 people.
Wow, that's
Yep.
amazing.
And pretty much everybody touches everything except for like my hourly employees at Declan's Mining Co. So
Mm-hmm.
I have Ashley, who is just like my work wife. She does
Mm-hmm.
everything, and that is giving her zero credit when I say that, because her list is very long.
Yeah.
But it's so long I don't even know what she does anymore. Then I have my sister-in-law, that's
Mm-hmm.
Jen, and she is my manager. So
Mm-hmm.
she's the one who negotiates all my deals. She's the one who is in my email and
Mm-hmm.
keeping me on task for creating all of my paid content.
Sure.
Um, the brands know her, they love her, they know that she's my sister-in-law, they know that she's an
Mm-hmm.
extension of me. And I love that. She also does customer service for Declan's. Then I
Okay.
have Alicia, who is my very best friend of almost 8 years, and she lives in Connecticut. I live in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel very blessed that she left her corporate world to come work for me,
Mm-hmm.
with me. I don't like saying for me. So Alicia is my social media manager. So
Mm-hmm.
she does. So I create the content, and Alicia does the rest. And
Yeah.
I love that we've gotten to that point. So I create the
That's
content. I
huge.
post it on TikTok, and
Mm-hmm.
then she does it everywhere else.
Nice.
Yep.
Great.
So she cross posts everything. She manages
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I'm also creating, 3 videos a day for Declan's Mind and Co. So she also does that on that side. So she's
Wow.
very busy. We're on 5 platforms. So she's constantly doing that. And then she'll help me with like comments and messages and organizing. And then I have Liz who does my comments for me. So Liz is a very dear friend of mine. We've been friends for over 10 years, also an extension of myself. And she helps me to comment back because I like for people to feel like they are getting a piece of me.
Yeah.
And
Like
they are
seen.
when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
Liz. I'm also in my comments. So I don't just like post and walk away from my content. I'm very involved.
Sure.
Like
Mm-hmm.
my inboxes on Instagram are me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still very involved in my social media, but it's
Yeah.
such a beast at this point that I
I know.
can't do it all.
It's impossible. I think pretty much every creator at your level has somebody helping them with
Oh,
comments if they feel
and if
very
they,
concerned with connecting. And if they're not, like, I
yeah,
don't know how they're surviving.
if you don't, then I think you're crazy to not ask for help. And then hide. I still have one more girl. So then I also have Jess.
Love it. I
So
love it.
I have Jess, and Jess does like I send out like weekly emails. She
Mm-hmm.
does the marketing for Declan's Mining Co, but she takes all my pictures. So if it looks like a fancy picture, Jess probably took it.
Uh-huh.
My office for Declan's Mining Co is literally across the street. So like Jess will just come over here and like take pictures. She does a lot of my blog. Alicia does my blog, and it's a symbiotic relationship. Like everybody can do everyone's job. It's just that
Yeah.
the person whose job it is does it the best.
Yeah.
So I have a really amazing team that does all that. And then Sean,
Mm-hmm.
my husband, he manages all of the books and finances and stuff. So I do have a big team. I'm very open about the fact that I have a team.
Yeah.
I don't or I would never be with an agency or anything like that because I feel like you lose control. Like I have access to my email and my deals and my relationships with brands, and I don't ever want to
Cool.
lose touch with that. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite a beehive over here.
For sure. But I think it is beneficial that you have an entire other company bringing in revenue. If it was
Oh yeah.
literally just KRS, I'm sure that you would not have as big of a team. You still have a team for sure
Yeah.
because it's still a
I'd
beast.
probably have 3 people helping me
Yeah.
if it was just because I have a girl that also works at Declan's Wine and Co. that comes
Mm-hmm.
over here and she'll help
Mm-hmm.
me with like Erin. She'll come help me with like unboxing and stuff. And I do pay her
Sure.
hourly, and she has like I call it a stipend every month. I'm like, you can
Love
pick
it.
up to 12 products a month, and
I love it.
yeah,
That's super
so
fun. And
yeah.
I love that all of your team sounds like people that you are already friends with, that
Oh
you already
yeah.
trust. They're like really an extension of you. So I'm sure anyone who is communicating with them feels like they know you super well.
100 and everybody knows my team because I share
Yeah.
them on social media too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you follow me on Instagram, you would know Alicia.
Yeah.
We fight with birds online, and
Love it. I love it. And you talk about posting 3 times a day. Can you talk a little bit more about like your strategy right now? So you were a Facebook first creator, and then
Mhm.
I assume you moved to Instagram and then TikTok. What is it like now? Like, where's your priority and how often are you posting? What does the schedule look like?
So my priority is TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
um, but Facebook is like my home.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
right now, my honest, like, I'm about to open a physical location for my company. So, I my priority is always DMC first and KRS
Mhm.
second.
Mhm.
This is like something that I just love to do, and I happen to be blessed in the sense that I'm good at it and I can make a good income off of it.
Sure.
So my strategy is kind of chaotic. Like I said, my goal is to post 2 to 3 times a day. Does it happen? No. Like I just went probably 3 days without posting,
Sure.
just because it was a busy sports weekend with my kids. And I
Mhm.
feel like I've gotten to a point where that doesn't bother me anymore.
Oh,
Like when I
good.
was growing, if I wasn't posting 3 times a day, like I'd have anxiety,
Mhm.
because there is an element of consistency with what we do. You
Yeah.
can't just like post here and there. Like you
No.
have to create some type of cadence, and you have to push and sacrifice in the beginning. And if you don't, then maybe you'll get lucky and something hits,
Yeah. But
But if
probably
some
not. Probably
like
not. I'm here for
like
the
Jules,
realistic advice. I'm like, no, but probably not. You need to
yeah.
be
So
there.
like Jules, for instance, with a very demure, very
Sure.
mindful, right?
Mhm.
When something like that happens, right? So when you go viral, I went viral
Mhm.
once for cutting watermelon with dental floss. Okay, wild. Got 30 million views on it, right?
Mhm.
It's like when it hits, you
Mhm.
have to be ready for that.
Mhm.
Like you think you're ready for a viral video. No, you're not, because that viral video can be so fleeting that you get nothing from it. Like you
Yeah.
have to be ready to jump on it and run with it. And if you're not, then there's no point in going viral,
Yeah.
and some
Agreed.
people go viral and they only have 200 followers and nothing comes of it.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's my strategy. I don't really have one, honestly, Sonia. Like
Mhm.
I do fly from the seat of my pants all the time, and I'm
Mhm.
grateful to have a team that keeps me in check, and they're like, all right, like let's reel this in. You haven't given me anything good. Like I'm lacking here. I need this. Let's sit down, let's strategize, let's come up with an idea. So sometimes we'll
Sure.
come up with like, the 30 mascaras in 30 days or something.
Sure.
And but my life is prioritized by my family first, because I finally have gotten to the point where I can put my family first, and my business second, and content creation third. And I think it's important to teach people and be vulnerable enough to say, like, your mental health and your family life are more important than fucking numbers on a screen.
Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
And when you really live in that space and you emulate that,
Mhm.
that's when your community starts to be authentic. That's when your content gets better. That's when people connect to you. And it's not just like being very demure and mindful and copying everything that everyone else does.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
find TikTok to be weird like that, where all of a
Yeah.
sudden millions of people are just copying each other. It's bizarre,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Of course, because I think I don't think there's as much originality as people like to think that there is. We
Correct.
are very stuck in a place of influence, and part of that is about acceptance, and part of that is this is working for them, it'll probably work for me. When I really, as a coach, as a mentor, as someone who helps creators, I'm always about like, you need to be in your own silo. And like, yes, I do think that people have to be consistent. Yes, I do think at the beginning you have to really like push yourself to create a lot of content, but I don't think that you need to have a schedule in advance. Like, I'm not, oh, well, you need to know. Like, I'm glad that you said like you fly by the seat of your pants. I do the same. I
Mm-hmm.
think about what's going on or something comes into my head, I record it. And if more people can break down that freedom for their own ideas and not think about, well, what are other people recording? Well, how are they tackling this gifting? Well, everybody else has the new Patrick Tall, whatever. Like, none of that actually matters. The freedom of knowing what you want to do,
Yes.
creating it, and posting it quickly, that's success to me. And if
It's
you, yeah,
100% right.
and
Like,
if you go into Jules' profile, like I was just auditing their profile recently and wondering like, how did we get to this success? Hundreds of thousands of posts. We're talking like post after post after post. There are certain days there's like 10 posts going up.
yep.
And that is a true, like, I know what I'm talking about. I know how I want to be perceived. I'm creating it, I'm posting it. I'm creating it, and posting it. And then eventually you get to the point where one of those posts does go viral, and that's wonderful. But you have to try so many other things
You
before
do.
you get
And you know what I love about this is what I love about TikTok is it
there.
not they don't TikTok does not like perfectly curated,
No,
right? They don't like it. And
no.
here's another thing. have only ever created content on my iPhone for 15
Mm-hmm.
years. That's it. I have never once,
Amazing.
I shouldn't say never once, because I got the Canon camera. Like, I've tried,
Mm-hmm.
but man,
Yeah.
I don't know how to edit. It's just not me. Like,
Sure.
I've tried, okay? And like my
Mm-hmm.
team is like, you should vlog. And I'm like, like I'm giving it a try. So I can't say never, but I would say 0.2% is like that. I record right in the TikTok app. Like I don't do anything fancy. And I think that's what is so relatable. So it's like, I don't know, if you want to be Meredith Duxbury, but look at Meredith. I love that girl. I love
Yeah.
her journey. Look at Meredith. Meredith was so big because she did iPhone work that was just like caught your eye, whatever. It was authentic to her. And now she's like walking down runways, and
Yeah.
you've watched the evolution of her content
Mm-hmm.
and it's so beautiful to watch. But like that girl still comes down to her roots and she's like, I got the itch. I want to do the.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're 100% right. When you think about it, just post it. Like, just do
Yeah.
it. Don't try to curate it, because the more
Mm-hmm.
time you take to curate it, the less authentic it becomes. And I feel
Absolutely.
like I've gotten to the point where I know when a video is going to perform well, because it's like I'm excited to make it. It came to me in the shower and I jump out of the shower and I just make it.
Yeah.
And it does well. I just had a video of a braid go viral with like 4 million views. I knew it was going to go viral. I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it because it was something I was excited and happy to make. So
Yeah.
if you're forcing it or copying it, it's not going to do well.
Absolutely. And it's the fastest way to burn out. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why I always tell people be very careful about what you hope goes viral as well. Because if you go viral for something that's inauthentic to you, that you don't want to be creating, that you did because this was a trend,
Then you get
that's
stuck.
now, yeah, then you're
Mhm.
stuck. And then people have to start brand new, accounts, or they end up with millions of followers and no brand deals. And I
Yep.
was like, I'd much rather you have 30,000 followers and we're able to
Ah,
sign you brand deals every single week than have 500,000 or a million and no one's going to sign a brand deal with you because you're not actually creating anything that's like helpful. You just created this trend.
correct. I love it.
Okay, well, as we kind of wrap up here, I'd love to know some of your thoughts. Like, what are some of your own like personal growth moments through this journey? Like, how has being a content creator kind of like, I mean, not to be dramatic, but like changed your life? Like,
It
what?
has. It has changed my life. I grew up, like I said, I grew up really tough. I was on welfare until I wasn't, and food stamps, and I grew up in the city, and so I grew up very different than how I'm raising my children. And my
Yeah.
biggest growth moment is being able to provide this life for my family that I only ever was able to dream about. And I think I knew I was different. Have known I was different forever. I
Yeah.
knew that people thought I was annoying, but it was because I had something. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was never afraid to be authentically myself. I was never afraid to stick up for people and,
Mm-hmm.
just be a louder voice in the world. And, it's important to me to be that person. And I feel like being on social media has given me that platform to be exactly who I am. Like, when you meet me in person, you're getting what you see. And
Mm-hmm.
so my biggest growth moment is accepting that.
Mm-hmm.
So many times people are like, I can't do that. People are going to judge me. What are people going to think? And I feel like I've gotten to this point where I don't have to care what people think, because if
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't serve you, it doesn't deserve you, right? So if
Yeah.
if if it's not reciprocated, then it's not worth being in your life. And so I've created this really safe space in my world where my mental health is protected, my children and my husband are protected, my marriage is protected, and
Mm-hmm.
anything that tries to, be an outside force on that, it's just not worth having in my life. So I feel really blessed to be able to live my authentic self every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the income is tremendous, and I'm so grateful that I get to raise my kids in a way that I didn't get to experience. So that may be such a mom cliche thing to say, but it truly
Mm-hmm.
is. Those are my growth moments. Like, my growth moments
Sure.
aren't these deals. They
Yeah.
aren't like me going to Michaela's wedding and meeting Alex Earl. I did all those things. Those are cool,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
like, I'm so glad I did it. And I'm glad I have these, beautiful young girls as my friends and all that. But for me, it's like, it's just bigger than that. It's the bigger picture that I'm able to
Hmm.
create because of this lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
I'm creating generational wealth and a legacy for my kids. And that's what's super important. We'll have to do another episode about finances because
Yes. Oh
these
my
girls
gosh.
these girls don't know how to manage their money and they need to know how.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I would love to do that.
Anytime.
Um, okay. And then through these lessons, what do you feel like you really want somebody else to know? Someone who's early on, whether they're similar age range to you, younger, older. What's something that you really feel like, oh, this advice, is helpful?
I think who I forget her name. She wrote a book. It was like Girl Wash Your
Hmm.
Face a million years ago.
Oh, I think so.
Rachel Hollis, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Don't always agree with her, but probably the best piece of advice that she gave women
Hmm.
was other people's opinions of you don't matter, are none of your business. Right? So other people's opinions of you are none of your business. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
That's what you should do. Like, you do
Hmm.
it scared, do it afraid, do it anyways. Those are like my
Hmm.
three like little mottos. It's like, I'm not here to please anybody else. I'm already halfway done through life is how I look at it. So I
Yeah.
have to get all of my stuff in to feel fulfilled. And so just
Hmm.
do it. Like, just have fun and do it. Don't care what anybody else thinks, because anybody judging you, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Like, that's their own
Yeah.
insecurities, and don't let them project their insecurities on you. You deserve to be here. You deserve the space that you're in, and you deserve a piece of this. So
Hmm.
just start doing it, and then commit to yourself. And I always say, don't tell yourself you don't have time. Tell yourself it's not a priority. And that will change your mindset so quickly when you're like, well, I wish I could do that. I just don't have time. No, I wish I could do that. It's just not a priority. Like,
Yeah.
imagine telling yourself something that's a dream of yours is not your priority. Like,
Hmm.
that's so sad, So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do it. Just have fun, be authentically yourself. And if you don't know who that is, get into therapy and figure it out, because therapy is not a bad thing. Therapy is a great thing for a lot of people, and it can really
Yep.
help you, dig down deep and live that authentic lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah, the journey with ourselves that we share online is like the most important, I think.
Yeah.
It's the actual saying like I discovered this about myself and I'm willing to put it out there for everyone else to know as well. It's huge.
Scary,
I
right?
know it's scary stuff, but it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's
And
so
you have this,
liberating.
I know it really is. It is so
Yeah.
liberating. And I always wish that for everyone that they
Same.
take that thing that they worry about when they share it, they find those other people who also worried about it. That's like the greatest joy of being on social media, I think.
Yes. You can
So,
touch one life. And, when you're looking at it in this sense, I only have 500 followers. Well, put
mhm,
yourself in the middle of a room and
mhm.
put 500 people around you.
I know.
That's a lot of people. So don't forget that 500 people is a shit ton of people. Is a
Yep.
million more? Sure is, but you can't get to a million until
Mhm.
you hit 500 first. So just
Exactly.
keep that in mind.
I know. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate your time today. I know you
Yeah,
are
of course.
so busy, and I know that the audience is going to be honestly so thrilled to hear this. We had so many requests for you. So,
Really? Oh, that's
yes,
so awesome.
I'm so glad that you were able to make the time. So,
Oh,
thank you so much.
anytime. I'd love to do it again. So call me sometime.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.